One of the things that we got rid of some months ago as we were in this purging season was a stroller. And we have 6 children, and for as long as I can remember, like the last 15 years, a stroller has been a part of our lives, right? Because we were, every other year we were having a baby. So it was never like, oh, okay, we could get rid of the stroller. And the stroller was sitting in our garage unused for like a year and a half or so, because we were like, okay, maybe if we go to, like, an amusement park or something like that, we'll just bring it for the youngest just in case. But it was sitting there for like a year and a half or 2 years, and it wasn't being used, and we were like, okay, let's go ahead and get rid of this. And one of the things that I realized is that certain things may work for a season. It was needed. It's not that the stroller was useless. For the season that we needed it was needed for a season. But God, is helping me to realize that certain things were great for a certain season, but you have to be willing to let it go for this season. It's not needed. And I feel like sometimes we hold on to things unnecessarily because of, I guess, the memories from the past, and we remember how good it was to us in that season and how much we need it, and we don't make the transfer in our mind that, but it is a new season. And it's not that you're discounting how good the thing it was to you by getting rid of it. It's more you're saying, I'm acknowledging that here I am, I'm now in a new place. So some of us, certain relationships, God is like, you know what? It worked well for a specific season, but now I'm bringing you into a new season, and you have to be willing to let that go, to make space for whatever it is that I am bringing you into. Perhaps it's a career. Some of us, we're holding on to dear life, and God is saying, I'm trying to transition you to another place. It's time for you to let go of that particular thing. So those are just a few examples. The other thing that I really want to point out is that prior to getting on this purging thing, I watched a lot of videos on minimalism. And at a certain point, I had to stop watching and say, okay, it's now time for me to implement the things that I have watched. And as calming, there's something that's just so calming about watching videos on minimalism. Just a little side note. But anyway, as calming as that was, I had to, at some point in time, go into action. I couldn't just sit and just get all of this information and not apply the information that I learned. I had to go through my house and ask, as Marie Kondo said, does this spark joy? Which is so funny. I thought it was funny at first, but there's some truth to that one. But anyway, so I realized there had to be some actions. I had to put into play what I learned. And it's the same thing spiritually. As God is bringing these things to the surface, I can't just sit there and say, okay, God, now clean me. I have to be an active participant. Part of the cleansing is me getting up, seeking his face, getting in the word, not just even hearing the word and reading it, but actually doing it. Part of it is me constantly communicating with him. I can't just sit there like as a rag doll and say, okay, do whatever you want, and not think that there's nothing required of me for the purging to take place, right? I go to the master, I go to the expert on purging, if you will, which is God, hear what he's telling me to do, and then I have to act. Some of us stay stuck in that place of, okay, I know that God wants to do a new thing in me. I know he wants to get rid of all, showing me that I need to get rid of all this baggage, and we can rehearse all the prophetic words we've ever received, but we're not acting. And God is saying, I need you, as I tell you, and as you're coming to me and I'm downloading these things in your spirit, there needs to be some action behind it. So for you to really walk in what I'm calling you to. So I just want to encourage you to not just hear, but actually do. Respond to what God is saying. And finally, it's just don't remain stuck. Don't feel like you have arrived. There's always another level to go to. There's always something that God wants to perfect in us. Be open to it, because in the end, it's going to be for our good, and ultimately it's going to bring God glory. All right, you be blessed.